Let's be honest, it's pretty easy to feel pessimistic these days. But what if all the data tells a completely different story? In this breakdown, we're going to dive into the work of futurist Lars Tvede to uncover some powerful super trends that actually suggest the future is way brighter than we've been led to believe. I mean, we all know the feeling, right? You scroll through the headlines, you see the constant flood of bad news, and it feels almost impossible not to think things are just spiraling down the drain. But here's the question. Is that feeling actually real? Does it match up with the facts on the ground? And this is really the heart of the matter. On one hand, you've got our feelings, which are often fueled by all this doom and gloom. But on the other hand, you have cold, hard data showing incredible progress on, well, just about everything, from poverty to resources. So what gives? Why is all this good news practically invisible to us? Well, it turns out the problem might be hardwired right into our brains. We might actually be programmed to ignore progress. So let's really dig into what Tvede calls our pessimism problem. Lars Tvede really doesn't mince words here. Look, the problem isn't that the good news doesn't exist. It's that we have this built-in wall that stops us from accepting it, especially when it goes against a gloomy story we already believe. And he has a name for it: fact resistance. A classic example is this guy, the biologist Paul Ehrlich. This guy spent decades predicting mass starvation across the globe. But the whole time, what was actually happening? Innovation was making resources more abundant than ever before. And even though he was proven wrong time and time again, he never changed his mind. He'd just, kick the can down the road and say, okay, the disaster is coming next year. Okay, so how do we actually fight this? How do we break through our own biases? Well, Tvede gives us this amazing analogy that paints a picture of two totally different ways of thinking, and it's a really powerful tool for understanding ourselves. So you gotta ask yourself, which one are you? The hedgehog? This guy knows one big thing, just one. Like, the world is ending, and every single piece of new information, it gets crammed into that one single box. No exceptions. But the fox? Oh, the fox is totally different. It's quick, it's clever, it uses all sorts of different models to understand the world, it's curious, and the most important part, it goes wherever the data takes it. And that, right there, is our goal for the rest of this breakdown, to help you become that data-driven fox. It's all about ditching that single pessimistic story and instead just getting truly, genuinely curious about what the facts are really telling us. And this is where it gets really interesting. See, the fox is able to spot something that the hedgehog is completely blind to. It's this massive engine of change, and it's speeding up so fast that our brains literally can't keep up. Okay, so most of us, we think in a straight line. It just makes sense, right? You take 20 steps, you get 20 meters further. 1, 2, 3, 4, simple, predictable. And for most of human history, that model worked just fine. But then you've got exponential growth. And this stuff, it's sneaky. Imagine a water lily in a lake. It doubles every single day. Now, if it takes 20 days to cover the entire lake, here's the question. On what day is the lake only half covered? The answer? Day 19. The biggest, most shocking change happens in that very last step. It catches everyone off guard. And if you thought that was wild, hold on. Tvede says we're now living in an age of hyper-exponential growth. This is where the rate of growth is also growing exponentially. It's like a rocket with boosters that are firing off their own boosters. And there's a really simple reason for why this is happening. Think about it. Every new innovation isn't just one new thing. It's a new building block. It can be combined in millions of ways with all the other building blocks we already have. More tools means exponentially more ways to build new tools. It's this incredible self-reinforcing feedback loop of creativity. All right, so now we've got our mental toolkit, right? We've got the curious, data-driven fox mindset, and we understand this crazy idea of hyper-exponential growth. So let's put it to work. Let's take on some of the biggest, scariest myths about our future. Let's tackle two of those classic hedgehog ideas, the ones you hear all the time. First up, the idea that we're just running out of everything. And number two, the so-called population bomb. But what you're about to see is that the actual data, the supertrend reality, tells a completely different story. So you think we're running out of resources? Get this. Instead of pricing things in dollars, let's use something more real: time. How many hours does a regular person have to work to afford something? Well, if you look at the 50 most essential commodities, their time price gets cut in half every 18 years. That is not scarcity, my friends. That is the footprint of innovation creating unbelievable abundance. Okay, so what about that population bomb? Well, it turns out the single most effective contraceptive on the planet isn't a pill, it's prosperity. It's a pattern we see everywhere. As people get richer and healthier, birth rates just fall. In fact, we've already hit this incredible milestone called peak child. That means the total number of kids on Earth has basically flatlined. It's not expected to go up for the rest of the century. Wow. Look, this isn't just some big abstract discussion about global trends. This wave of accelerating change, it's going to have a huge direct impact on your life, on your career, on everything. Just take a look at the predictions for Zoomers, folks born around the year 2000. On average, they're looking at having six different careers. They'll live in maybe 15 different places and hold more than 20 separate jobs. So that whole idea of a single stable job for life, yeah, that's over. It's a museum piece.
So the big question is, how on earth do you prepare for a world like that? Well, it really boils down to one thing. The most crucial skill you can possibly have is knowing how to learn. Not what to learn, but how. You've got to build that flexible, fox-like mindset and just be ready, always ready, to reinvent yourself. Not just once, but again, and again, and again.
And if you want to grasp the sheer scale of this, check out something called Simon's Law. It says that all of human knowledge doubles about every 15 years. Think about that. That's a 100x increase in just 1 century. And now you've got AI jumping into the game. It's starting to do the actual work of coming up with new scientific ideas. So this trend, it's not slowing down. It might even be hitting the gas.
And all of this brings us to the final, most important question. In a world that's all about constant, accelerating change, not stability, the most important project you'll ever have is you. So how are you going to reinvent yourself? How are you going to adapt and thrive? Because the future is coming way faster than you think. And for anyone who's ready to be a fox, it is absolutely packed with opportunity.